say.
A little bit this way.
This way?
All right, Elvis, there you go.
All right, perfect.
All right.
Stay right here, right?
All right, right there.
Don't move.
Here, well, couple steps forward there, Elvis. There, right about there. Okay.
Right for my
Can you get a
close-up.
little taller?
Get a little taller. All right, so, you know, with us, being the Tonkin store, we were Cardone forever. And, you know, being here, I mean, I've been here 9 years, so it's long enough to, you know, get some bad habits and develop some good ones. And every time I would go to the Cardone, everyone used to always hate going to, and I would go to that Cardone, and I would get inspired. Like, I would love it. And I would come back to work, and I'd be fired up. And I'd be fired up for a day or two, and then it would just go away, right? And what I found with the GI training, after we did the first day, we were about, you know, after lunch, I was ready to leave. Like, I didn't get all the information I wanted, but I was ready to go home and start hammering my salespeople with good information and start putting this process into place. And then it was day 2 and day 3, and I was just jumping at the chance to get to go do this, right? And I would get there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and they'd all have customers. I'm like, where's the salespeople? Oh, they're all with somebody. I'm like, damn it. You know, I should be excited there were salespeople, but I was excited to get them in a room and take control and start leading, you know, because we think we're leading, but not always are we actually leading them. And so putting the calendar into play and actually doing it every single day and have a dedicated time kept that energy going. We always start exactly at 8:30, and at first we had some people that would not show up, and I've kind of told you guys what I would do to them, making them do some punishments on it. I didn't like monetary things, so I didn't want to punish them. I've got a staff of 10 right now, and I didn't want to take money out of their pocket. So for me, I was finding other ways to make that happen, and so it was, and when the other people would see it, and I would make sure I announced it in front of everybody, or I get them involved, like, hey, what should we do for a punishment? You know, they'd want to take it easy, I'd want to step it up a little bit, and if they didn't do enough, I would make it worse. And they started, you know, kind of doing it to themselves, keeping themselves away from being late. So as that kind of stopped, now they'll hold me accountable. If I'm in there 8:31, they'll say, hey, where are you at? I was dealing with a service problem, like the service manager wasn't here, you know, and they'll punish me, you know, I'll buy them lunch or something, and then I'll play along, it's fun, right? But what's happened is as I see that they get excited when we train, you know, and we'll sit down with something that we're going to work on, and we'll start training that, and they get inspired. I have such a young staff, you know, 6 to 8, 9 months old, about, you know, the length of my staff, and then it inspires me because we know that we have all this knowledge, but we don't always share it with everybody. And they start asking you those questions, and they'll start saying, hey, well, how do you do this, or how do you handle this objection, or how do you do this? And 20 minutes later, you know, it's 9:40. I'm telling them we got to get, or you know, 8:40. We got to 9:10. Can't do math, right? We got to get out of here, and they're like, no, it's a little bit more, and then we have to cut and move on. So that's been really, really good for my staff. Get some buy-in. We sat down with them right afterwards. After the first week or so of training, and it kind of got to know them a little bit better. Like, I know my staff very, very well, but I wanted to know more about them, what they wanted to accomplish. Not at the store level, but as just a personal level. Try to get a little bit better idea, so when I am training them, I can relay back, hey, you want this option in your life, you want to buy a house, these are the ways that we can help you do that by making money, by doing this type of a thing, and try to tie what their personal goals are with their work-related goals. Some of the fun things that we've been kind of training on, we'll do 20 features and benefits, but I'll make them do it. So I get kind of, training every single day can be tough, Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday. It gets kind of rough. I don't really have a support staff that's there in the morning besides me without extending the hours of my managers. So I will task them out every other day. So on Monday, I'll task them out for Tuesday on Silverado, hey, give me 20 features and benefits. And then they come back in, I'll lead the class, but they'll go through and tell each other about them. And then what happens is they start having dialogue about things. You know, so, oh, I didn't know this had this. I didn't know this had this. Here's how it worked. This is how I told my customers. It's kind of nice to get them to interact, and I just sit back and monitor. You know, and every other day we have that. So 2 times a week we learn about cars. It's the same car. So Silverado for my Monday, Tuesday crew, Silverado for my Wednesday, Thursday crew. And the next week's a different vehicle, Some of the other things that we've been working on, I love that role playing that we did with the phone up, where we took time and we kind of did the bouncing ball thing. I've done the same type of thing with our aftermarket products the last few weeks. So my philosophy on the MaxGuard Clear Bond, the window tint, is I don't want my sales guys selling that, I want them showing it, which is 2 different things to me. So I don't want them pitching it, saying, hey, I want some products I want to show you. Hey, here's how much it is, this is what it does. I don't want it to be a sale, I want them to talk about it and leave. Right? You might ask, how much does it cost? I have no idea. And just move on, because you're not there to sell the product, you're there to present the product, have the finance manager pick it up. So we'll do something I like to do with my little kids. So my kids and I will make up stories. You know, we'll take turns. Like, I'll start and have my youngest son tell me about a story about going to the castle and doing this, and then my oldest son will take over the story, take over the story, take over the story. I have my people tell stories about the clear bra, the MaxGuard, the window tint, right? Because they don't all have to be real. They just need to be able to the people need to be able to see that in their lives. So if you've learned something about those people and say, hey, this is what my kid does with soccer, or I have a young kid and he always spills milk in the back, you tell them the story. And so I'll start with Duncan. Hey, you start the story, then you pick up the story, just kind of create a story and tie it back into the product and how it makes sense to them in their life and move on. So we've done some kind of fun things along the lines of that. Let's see. And then we touched on some other thing that we've been working on too is subject lines on emails. I've been looking at our subject line on emails, and I wake up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. The first thing I do is I look at my emails, and I just delete. Well, there's one that always gets me, and it's Southwest Airlines. I love Southwest Airlines. I'm never in the market to go anywhere because I have 4 kids and it's expensive. But for the right price, I'm in the market to go anywhere, right? So I'll hop on there. It'll say $69, starting at $69 one way, and I'm always wanting to go to Arizona. If I could live there, I'll just live there. And I always look, and it's never $69. Okay, but I always look, and one of these days it's going to be $89. I'm going to buy those tickets, right? And just go on the whim. So I look at my subject lines of my guys that had out there, and some of them would say, I was telling Duncan, one of them just said 2018. That was the subject line. Or one of them would say, good morning. And these are email or follow-up. Okay, and these are emails that have been sent after 3 or 4 emails have been sent, and they've never responded. What does that do? And then we'll start having conversations about how that works. Like, what do you think the customer sees when they read this? What inspired them to read it? And I'll say, go through your junk mail. Look at your junk mail. Look at your subject lines. And just see what's in there that attracted you. What did you see in there? Especially Christmas time. 30% off Legos. I was all over that one. Right? I opened that browser like 4 times. I saved that one. I sent it to my wife. But it was things that made them think about what they're sending. You should have content in that subject line that makes them that should tell you what's in the email, right? And make you inspired to open it. And I sit there and look at them, and they're bad, right? So I pointed out the good ones first, and then I showed them some bad ones. I didn't tell them who they were from. Just said, hey, look at these, rank them. Which ones do you like? I don't like any of them. Well, that's what we're sending out. So we're kind of developing some different things that we can train on as well. Other than that, I haven't had any kickback. They're too young to get kickback from them. If anything, it was just them being late at first. And as a whole, our staff usually was a 5 to 6 man staff. We never could hire more. Couldn't find right fits. And we'd allow them to be 5, 7, 8 minutes late before we were training because we didn't want. They ran the show. They were 7 minutes late. We don't want to harass them because if they don't show up anymore, then we'll be down to 5. And with this training, it's allowed us to hold them accountable without them realizing that they're being held accountable. They don't have to worry about, hey, they're not going to be 3 minutes late, not because Lance is going to write you up and you're going to get in trouble, because I'll have to go do something horrible. And I won't be in the room, and when we open the door, everyone will look at me and they'll laugh because they know that you're going to be in trouble. And that's kind of just shifted the way that the store operates. So that's kind of an idea of what we got going on over there.
Excellent, love it. So what questions do we have for him?
The subject line that you were talking about, I think that's something where we can improve greatly on our store. Are there certain things that you found out that work better for you?
Do you have any documents?
Yeah, like putting pricing in there. Payments as low as, and you can put some disclaimers in there. We're doing employee pricing right now. So we'll put some up there, employee pricing, special pricing for Mrs. Johnson below employee pricing. Whatever it is, try to cater it a little bit more to them versus just a generic tagline that doesn't tell you what's in the email. And I actually tasked them out too to write out 10 different emails. I had them do 5 different subject lines. Didn't matter what the scenario was. You just pick a scenario. It doesn't matter what the payment is. You make it up and submit them over to us, and then we go through them and review them and rank them and kind of have some conversations about them.
So I like that. So for your training, you pick a scenario, and then you have everybody write down 5 different test subject lines, and then you have everybody judge.
Yeah, and then we discuss them and talk about them, and then say like, what do you think is in that email? Because it's important to read an email and be able to know what is in that email, and do you want to open it based off of what that says? And I always say like the follow-up. The follow-up email just drives me nuts because it just says follow-up in there, and typically they end up sending that after like 2 or 3 other emails have been sent, and they haven't opened them or responded to them, so why would they want to respond to a follow-up email? And they just have that conversation, like think about the customer, and they're looking at this, and they're looking at their cell phone, because that's where they're getting their email, and they look at it and they go, am I going to read this? It says follow-up. Like, what would inspire you to read that? And so we try to find different things to make people want to look into it. Perfect. Good? Thank you.
Are we all good? Yeah. Hey, nice job. Drop the mic, Lance.